Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is Belinda. Hello, Belinda. Welcome. Good to see you and
Hello.
all that garbage.
Love you too.
um, Welcome to the show. As always, it's always cool having you here. Um, Let me start this out the same way I've unfortunately had to do every week because of their tube. This is an adults only program. This is intended for educating adults about daily activities and current events. So if you are under the age of 18, this is not a channel that's intended for you. Please leave now. Thank you very much.
Bye
Now, where
bye.
were we? Bye bye. Yes, no, bye bye. Right.
Mm.
Take care now. Bye bye then. Yo, Belinda and DB, 12B, Georgia. I hope we will be offending you pleasantly this evening. That will be our one true goal in life. Um, So, what do you have going on, Miss Belinda?
Nothing. I'm having company tomorrow for a week, and I'm very excited about that. Mm. Hope
Anybody
they
we
have.
know?
Yeah,
Hmm. Can't be too
you.
exciting then if we know them.
It's
Oh,
you.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, CLC. Appreciate that. Welcome,
So
everybody. Yeah, the CLC's got 99 to go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not subscribed to CLC, please make sure you do so because she has a neat channel with a lot of imagery, a lot of knickknacks and paddywhacks and all that fun stuff to look at. So take a minute, go subscribe to CLC. CLC in Florida, that's the name there, folks. And I'll put a link under this channel and under the video when we get done. And if you haven't, please do so. Stony Stone, good to see you, brother. Welcome. Margot, 12B, CLC. Lisa's here. Imagine that. Oh, wait a minute. I can see her from here. Um, Kentucky Patriot. Chat with Belinda's here. Cool. Uh, Margot, good to see you. Um, I know History Bee came in here, but she may have ducked back out. But anyway, I'm doing a group wave. Everybody, how you doing? All right. So, Benny, good to see you. Um, I've got some headlines that have come out in intergovernmental affairs this week, and we're going to be going over some of those, touching base on some of the news in the military times, and then we are going to be discussing the disgusting shootings going on our military bases, and since the 1st of December, as we approach the revealing of the IG report. Some of you may or may not know that on the 1st, the 2nd, 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, we've had shootings. And these are, I know that they're tragic and people lose their lives, but they are tango, uh, they're twin foxtrots. So they they are choreographed. They're aligned with the dropping of events, and when that truth comes out and the MK Ultra stuff is finally mainstream, then people will believe that and realize that I haven't been blowing smoke. But they're just too damn convenient. But they're also aligned with desires by the deep state to point us in a direction. Like they want us to be in conflict with China, so they had a mysterious explosion in the South Pacific. Now they want us to have a conflict with Saudi Arabia, so they have one of their guys come and shoot up some people in my hometown, and we're not going to keep putting up with this crap. So
I don't know why
anyway,
we're allies with Saudi Arabia.
um,
I,
it's puzzling to me, but we're also considered allies to Pakistan, and that's just downright stupid
yeah.
because those people hate us.
Yeah. All that
So,
means is we'll take your money.
right, yes, your foreign aid will be well accepted, and we'll make sure to send pleasant little kickbacks to the DNC when we get ours, of course.
Yeah, and
Uh,
and the U.S. will educate your people and train them to fly our
right,
fighter jets that we sell you. And mm,
right. Yeah, we're going to get into that
I
here in a
know,
minute,
I
but
know, I know.
let me, oh, believe me, I got something to say about that. Um, Let me jump into here the intergovernmental affairs. Just three new headlines. They've been slow to go, but one of these I found interesting. First off, one thing that I think is going to happen in 2020 is I think some of these suppressed technology that has been here for 20 years and been hidden from the public, I think some of this is going to start coming out, and there are little hints about that too. Um, right now, this first one it says VA launches solid start to ensure veterans are contacted during initial transition. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, in collaboration with the Department of Defense and Homeland Security, December 2nd, introduced VA Solid Start, which will proactively contact all newly separated service members at least 3 times during their first year of transition from the military. That's
For
kind of
what?
merging into what could turn into a good thing.
Hmm.
Um, Let me open it because if it's what I'm thinking, it may be uh, re-education camps, but not in such a bold way. But you know how we constantly talk about the fact you're in war today, and then tomorrow you're home with the kids
Right.
sitting on the
Yeah.
recliner.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping this is. But let's see. The program will engage contact with approximately 200,000 veterans each year and is part of Executive Order 138822, which was issued to improve mental health care and access to suicide prevention resources available to transitioning uniformed service members in the year following discharge, separation, or retirement. The stress of transition from service can lead to challenges and unmet healthcare needs for veterans, said Secretary Wilkie, though through VA Solid Start, the department will ensure consistent caring contact and help new veterans get a solid start in their civilian lives. So this is kind of what we were talking about. So
I wish I would have had that. It was here's your DD 214. There's the gate.
it, yes, don't let that thing swing in on you when you're walking
Yeah.
through it. So yeah, it really is something that should be addressed. I mean, it should have been addressed years ago,
Yeah.
but they figure that a military person is like a light switch. Oh well, they're done in fighting now. They can go home. They can
Yeah.
have a beer, sit down, and watch TV, and everything will be good to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All of a
The
sudden,
coffee has arrived. We may begin.
good job, son. I had a friend that got out recently. He's chief in the Navy, and his wife couldn't understand why, if she says she wanted to go to the mall, but she wanted to stop before that and didn't say something, why he couldn't do that, why that was such a struggle for him. It'd always be, you
Yeah.
said we're going to the mall. You didn't say we were going to stop someplace first. I'm laser focused on this is, the task at hand. And
Yep.
yeah,
I'm just not going to say any more about it, but I understand.
yeah,
Yes, I do.
yeah, it's hard
It's
when you get out.
structure.
Yeah,
It's you coordinate, you anticipate, and you plan, and then you activate. And
the
when
plan of the
there's a
day.
variation, right? When there's a variation of the plan, it just frankly can blow your mind because you haven't processed that part of the plan.
Yeah, it's very much when I got out. I needed a POD to kind of, okay, you wake up, you were going to work, but now what? You wake up.
Yeah, we got the wake up part nailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally understand what that chief is going through because I always tell people I've been out for over 20 years and it just doesn't matter. It's so absolutely in the fabric of our being that, whatever training they do, they're damn good. And I'm thinking it, part of it has to do with getting us young, uh, right, right at the point where the brain is in its final stages of maturity. And I know we're going into medical science here, but I just believe that because of that point in our life, the training that we get at that stage in our final period of development, I think it sticks with us stronger than most of the rest of the things that we go through in our lives.
Maybe so. I mean, I don't do it like I used to. I mean, I'm able to just change the plan in the middle of doing something, and I'm a lot happier for that because it got to be
You got skills.
a little much. Well, nobody else acts
Well,
that
you,
way out here.
well, yeah. All right. Subject number two in intergovernmental affairs, VA inspires communities to support hospitalized veterans through the holidays. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand behind this 100%. For the love of God, take a minute. Go to the elderly shelters or the nursing homes
Shelters.
at the VA. Yeah, adopt an old person. They're cute. They have
Alex,
needs,
Alex, Alex.
but this is important, really. I mean, think about it.
It is.
Some
It
of these
is.
some of these people do not even have family left, and some of these veterans that are in there, all their war buddies may be gone, and even the young veterans that are in the hospital through the holidays recovering from injuries and illnesses. It's just people got to take a few minutes and care about other people. But I like the idea of adopting yourself an old person too, because especially with the wrinkles, they look so cute.
Alex,
I'm
carry
sorry.
on.
Yep. Anyway, back to the subject. So, anyway, that I just I'm glad that that one's brought to the attention. It's a shame that it requires to bring something like that to attention of the
Absolutely.
people. You would think people would just go, you know what? Let's go down to the VA hospital today and see how some veterans are doing. But no, it has to
Yeah.
be suggested and planted.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so the last one here is VA launches National Artificial Intelligence Institute. So, VA is going to be breaking into AI. So, apparently, there's going to be at least some artificial intelligence in there since there can't be any natural intelligence. Wait a minute, did I say that out loud? I mean, I
Nope.
think I might have. Okay, good. All right. Um, anyway, so that's, I guess I don't need to go into that. That's pretty well cut and dry. So,
Well,
they're
you know,
getting
all
into
those
artificial
movies that
intelligence.
they made about the military machines with AI that were able to think and seek out
Right.
targets,
Like the
and all
micro
that.
drones.
Yeah.
Those things work like a swarm, and they feed off of each other. That's really strange stuff. But the thing is, the things that they're sort of leaking to the public have been in the process of development, and in some of cases has been used in the past 20 years. We are about 20 years behind on technology because every time something new and exciting comes out, they want to find out its military application before it can be a civilian use. So let's first see if it can kill people, and then we'll introduce it to the public for public use. History be like your tree. It is
Oh,
a pretty
thank
tree.
you. Thank
Get
you.
you all lit up and festive. I
I
got my
can't
tree
read the
back
chat a
here.
lot of times
All the
unless I sit way up here.
oh well, maybe the other glasses that you had on your head last week would help.
No, I no, they don't.
Oh well, okay.
Thank you.
Hello, DM. All right. While I'm transitioning into military and veterans times, what do you have that's eating at you this week?
Well, it's all about uh, the shootings. I have lost complete interest in the little dog and pony show that the DNC uh, is putting on. The Democrats are putting on. And once this goes to the Senate, they need to call Adam Schiff and they need to just bust his behind with every lie he's ever told. And as far as Matt
Well,
Gates,
I was just going to give you some good news. Apparently, there's an indictment right now that has been unsealed on Adam Schiff and several others for significant campaign finance fraud. So that
That'd be
could be
great.
some good news coming in the next few days. But please continue.
Well, now they have an impeachment about what was Trump thinking. Uh,
Well, the whole thing has been on
which
thought process.
Well, right. The whole thing is, a he said, she said, but the transcripts don't prove any of that. I thought Trump said, I thought Trump was doing. Well, now they're trying to write up an article of impeachment about what was he thinking behind the conversation. They're not the thought police. You cannot start convicting people on, I mean, I could say the nicest thing, here's a pie, but it might not be the nicest pie you've ever had. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
especially when it's in your face. I don't know. I mean, usually people are pretty offended by that.
but you know what I'm saying? I could seem very, very
Yeah.
nice and be stabbing you all along. You can't you can't do what somebody's thinking. That isn't it's not a thing. There is
Hi,
no
Ashley.
thought police,
Yeah, well, they're trying to introduce one. They
obviously.
the liberals are really working on this thought
A
crimes.
socialist. I
And
call them socialists to be
yeah,
quite honest
yeah. I mean,
here at my house, but
yeah, but they are socialist, Marxist, communists. But even the communism is starting to slip out the window. They're more like Stalinist. I mean, they they want half of the country exterminated. So that doesn't even put them in communism, because at
or
least in
when
communism they want you to at least be employed because you work for them as slave labor.
did you hear what
But
Bloomberg said about the middle class?
that they needed to be taxed more so that they would live longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the middle class can't make their own decisions on good health, so we'll tax them into good health.
Hey, Vince, good to see you. California Critic, good to see you too. Charles Wright's here also. Um, I try to get over here and see the folks that are hanging out with us, but sometimes I miss. But just know that I always do a proof viewing of my videos to make sure everything went well, and I do see all my conversation at that point. Dangerous Freedom, good to see you. All
Hello,
right, so let me
everyone.
let's see. I'm trying. I want to save the our main topic for after I go through a couple of these things. Um, let's see. This one is concerning because we're already dealing with an issue with getting people in the medical field. Surgeons general lay out how many healthcare jobs each service may lose in merger. I don't know what the merger is, but it says lawmakers expressed concerns Thursday after hearing how many military medical billets are slated for elimination next year as management of the services, hospitals, and clinics transitions to the Defense Health Agency. So that's the merger. Members of the House Armed Services Committee and the military personnel received an update on the military health system transition in a lively hearing Thursday. The hearing focused mostly on access to mental health care for troops and their families. The surgeons general for each of the services told Congress that they are no longer filling vacant positions pending a billet review by the DHA, Department of Health and Human Services, or Department of Health Administration, one of those anyway. They broke down how many billets their own.
Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you.
They broke down how many billets their own reviews last year determined were excess. Yeah, okay. That included about 4,000 for the Air Force, 6,935 for the Army, and 5,386 for the Navy. These are excess positions, apparently.
Excess medical positions like the dentist, the doctor.
Well, let's see what it says further down. It says, bottom line, last year, each of the military departments determined that their current medical force exceeded the operational requirements they needed, said Thomas McCaffrey, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Health Affairs. And each military department made a decision to look at a subset of their medical billets and repurpose them to look for other high priorities tied to the military department's need for meeting national defense goals. I'm
Could it
sorry,
be?
but that's just astonishing.
Could it be because there's less people in the military and these are just continuation billets from, some time ago?
Well, I suppose, but uh, you know, with the exception of emergency care in the military, you, you still have fairly long wait times active duty to get a specialty procedure. So if there are all these people in excess, then why are we dealing with wait times in active duty and now in the VA?
You think it's a push to get everybody to the outside?
Oh, it sure sounds like a push to get universal Medicare or Medicaid. It seems a little bit like an inside job. Look, the military doesn't even need them. Let's just move everybody into one medical program. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know. R-rated conservative. Good to see you, brother. Welcome. Um, I believe Americans here too. Good to see you. Uh, oh yeah, and Fred. I already ducked, so whatever came at me, he missed. Unless you got me without me looking. All right, so I don't know what to say about that,
I don't
but
know what to say either.
it's just weird. I mean, every time you turn around, it's everything is understaffed, and then they talk about 6,930 extra people in the army that they don't need. They all say that the military isn't numbers are down, and here they are wanting to purge. Um, let's see the next one here. Just more push to try to put a dark cloud over the Navy SEALs, but it says decades of combat led to SEAL team discipline issues. Acting Navy Secretary says so. I don't even want to get into all that, but yeah, war is hell. If you've been there long enough, you're not going to be a normal everyday person.
Yeah, until you've been there, dude, making the decisions. Shut up.
Exactamundo. Um, all right, so many articles have to do with the last half of our show. I'm just trying to resist the urge to go. Oi! But anyway, I'm working on it. Um, another one. Let's see. Under pressure, Navy's top official pledges to solve the new carrier's problem. The advanced $13 billion carrier has been plagued by problems, including glitches with its 11 new weapons elevators. Yeah, well, it's got a lot more than that because I got some really top secret weapons being put on that thing that I guess they're going in for field trials.
You need your weapons elevators. You got to be able to get your stuff to the roof.
You would think, yeah, that would be pretty handy. Um, the I don't know if you guys are aware, but last week, I think late last week, we lost 3 soldiers in a Black Hawk helicopter crash in Minnesota. The bodies or the soldiers now have been identified. Um, Let me open it so we can give them the recognition they need. May they rest in peace. St. Cloud, Minnesota. The Minnesota National Guard says 3 soldiers were killed when their helicopter crashed near St. Cloud this week. Were part of the unit that returned last May from 9-month deployment in the Middle East. Well, damn it. The
Mm.
National Guard identified the men who were killed in Thursday's crash as Chief Warrant Officer Second Class James A. Rogers Jr., 28, and Charles P. Nord, 30, and Sergeant Court M. Plantenberg, 28. So send a little prayer up for them. Keep them in your thoughts. And man, that just sucks. A 9-month deployment, they get home safe, and then their helicopter takes a dump on our soil.
Yeah.
um, oh, yes. Let me get this one, and then we're going to get into our subject. What are we at? 24? Yep, that'll give us exactly 30 minutes to bitch out loud. Pearl Harbor veteran to be interned on sunken ship. Ladies and gentlemen, this was one of the last men off of the Arizona, and apparently he died last week. So kind of a shame on that. Uh, It was an attack that shaped history, leaving more than 2,400 Americans dead and forcing the United States to enter a war it had been reluctant to join. False flag. Sorry. On Saturday, the 78th anniversary of the 1941 sneak attack by Japan on Pearl Harbor that they knew about 3 days ahead of time. I'm sorry, I've got to have these outbursts checked. And the remains of one of the survivors of the assault will be interned on his sunken ship, the USS Arizona. Lauren Bunker, who was among the last sailors rescued from the Arizona as it exploded into flames and sank, died in September at age 98. So apparently it's taken that long to get permission to have his ashes put over to Arizona. That's pretty pathetic. Um, he had expressed in years past his wish to be buried alongside fellow sailors who died on that fateful day. It's a historical event, and this is the last surviving crewman of the USS Arizona being returned to his ship and his shipmates. Pearl Harbor National Memorial spokesman Jay Blunt told AFP. Bruner will be the 44th USS Arizona survivor interned on the ship. The remaining three living sailors who survived the attack have asked to be laid to rest with their families. One of them, 98-year-old Luke Conter, will be attending Saturday's memorial at the USS Arizona Memorial Park in Hawaii, alongside some 120 members of Bruner's family. That's impressive. Following the late afternoon ceremony, National Park Service and military divers will take the urn containing Bruin's ashes and lower it to his final resting place in the hull of the ship's wreckage,
Wow.
Blunt said. So that's
Wow.
awesome. Um,
Yeah.
I can't believe it took that long to get it settled, though. September till now. I guess,
I'm sure there was
what
a
are
lot
we?
to coordinate.
Yeah, yeah, so that guy had a hell of a life, though. And I watched a interview with him. Apparently, a young sailor got the opportunity to talk to him, and he had that young sailor just shaking and tearing several times. It was pretty amazing. Um, all right, so brace yourself, folks. This is what we've been waiting for tonight. Do you want to start, Belinda?
No,
You sure?
I'm Alex, I'm so upset about it. I don't know why we continue to train
Okay,
these foreign nationals without any vetting, any check-ins. This guy
right,
was able to use all of his Saudi comrades. They filmed it. He hosted a party that showed mass shootings. He was able to fly to New York to visit places for whatever reason. Uh, there's no we've lost him before. In
right.
it was either 15 or 16. We lost a shit ton of them. Where'd they go?
Oh, well, just so, um, yeah, let's see. Afghan military trainees in the U.S. keep going AWOL. It's
Yeah,
not a new thing.
right.
So, yeah, the Defense Department has reported that as of February 9 of the more than 150 Afghan trainees in the United States who went absent without leave or AWOL across the nation remain unaccounted for. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 150 potential enemy combatants that are unaccounted for.
Military trained.
Right. And yeah, this has been a revolving door for us for years. We train our future enemies.
Yeah,
Um, every time we go to war with somebody, the bankers create the wars, so that's irrelevant at this point. But we go to war, we we beat the absolute crap out of somebody, we destroy all of their infrastructure, and then we go swooping in to rebuild their country, and then we say, why don't you just bring some of your folks over here and let us teach you how to fight? Well, here's a little dealio about that I feel. If you have just trashed somebody's house, I mean, you just went next door, you flipped over all the furniture, you kicked in the television, you did everything to it, you even poured paint on the walls. If you ask that person after you've done that, like the night after, you say, why don't you come over to our place for some dinner? What the hell do you think is going to happen when they come over for dinner?
Yeah.
These folks are coming over for dinner and they are holding a grudge because we just bombed the crap out of their country and potentially killed family members. And then we expect them to come over and be happy go lucky trainees that are going to be the next super soldier for their country.
Yeah. Yeah. And I posted something on Facebook today that I'd never really thought about. They fly over our houses. You know,
Oh,
they
yeah,
have,
we are in the flight path.
yeah, so am I for Cecil and Jax. And yeah, they fly overhead. They don't have to stay
Yep.
on their flight pattern. They don't have to stay in the loop. They can go, and that jet is a big old missile. It's just
Oh, yeah.
one big flying full of jet fuel missile.
Well, when we first moved out here to this property, we put a loft on our barn. We had 6 horses at the time, so we had a hay loft up above. And we didn't realize at that point that we were in their low fly tactical region, and we had helicopters coming in at about 40 feet off the ground, a set of 3 of them. And we literally, I heard them coming, and I knew we were going to have a problem. So we ran outside and started crossing flashlights in the air above us. And these guys came dangerously close to our barn. And then all 3 of them just kind of swoop up into the air to go over the thing. And they were so close when they went over our barn that they fluttered the shingles.
Wow.
So we can't even raise a windmill here. If I want to put up a windmill at 60 feet off the ground, we are we are in the low flying tactical flight path here, and
Mhm.
they say that's too low. It could be a threat to the planes that fly over. So we get buzzed on this property. I know it's nerve wracking, especially when a osprey comes over with those huge blades spinning overhead. So yeah, I can relate.
Well, you know how my friend that works over at on the base, he's a civilian. They fix up the old F-18s. Different governments come in, foreign governments, buy these planes. Then we train their soldiers to fly these planes. I mean, they're stripped down of a lot of the electronics and stuff, but
Right,
it's a total follow the money thing. Totally,
right.
100%. And it's just egregious. It's
Well, it's
I'd never
really,
thought about them flying over my house. It just hit me today.
well, I hope not. Oh well, okay, but yeah, I know I was going to say something super important. Deplorable Bobby, how you doing, brother? I know you got a show coming up tonight that's going to have some really special guests. Make sure you guys, after I get done over here, jump over to Deplorable Bobby. I think you're going to be amused by the huge lineup he has planned for tonight. Um, yeah, when I was active duty, when we went on alert, we actually stayed on alert for 2 weeks. It was literally just mind-boggling because at any second we could have been loaded up on C5s and off we went. But what happened was they found out that we were technically the last transportation company stateside. Everybody had been sent overseas. So they stood us down and we became the support team for the domestic bases, which made us run 30-hour shifts with 6 hours downtime for 3 months. Um, that was insane, but irrelevant. Anyway, they told us since we had the old Willis and Grumman 5-ton trucks that when we went over to Saudi Arabia, if we went over there, we were going to leave our vehicles and then be reissued new vehicles once we came stateside, once we returned to the base. So it
Were you
frustrates me to.
destroy them? Were you going to destroy them or leave them
Oh, oh no,
for,
just leave
for
them.
the
I mean,
Allies?
whoever wanted them could have them.
No.
And that's literally what we were going to do is just park them in the desert and walk away from them. But the point is that we are constantly fighting our own equipment,
Yeah.
and it's extremely unfair. Um, The one thing I know, I know that the nomenclature that is on these pieces of equipment is altered when we do sell it to foreign entities. Um, I know the actual stats for an M1 Abram tank. I don't know if it's still classified, but therefore I won't discuss it. But I know damn well that if another country buys one of our M1 Abrams, they don't get all the goodies.
Yeah, when they buy an
So,
18 or any other jet, they don't get all the perks that go along with it. But oh, we train them on these aircraft, so I wonder how much has been stolen and replicated, and it's just it's pure insanity.
well, if you're not Hillary Clinton selling our secrets to China to be distributed around the world, then something else is happening. Like we're just giving our equipment away. But
Hmm.
yeah, these shootings are just they're way too convenient. I know that we are meant to look and demonize a country because of the actions, but that's been a technique that the CIA has used for millennia. And like I said, they wanted us, they need us in conflict to get distraction from this report that's getting ready to come down. They absolutely have to have something, and it's got to be big, or it's not going to get the people's attention. So the uh, the shootings are designed to demonize the Muslims again. Get everybody hating the Muslims, and let's go get them. It's just it's a tactic, and these guys are, for one thing, this is my belief, and I'm not going to try to impeach the president on what I believe, but these are MK Ultra personnel. But I also believe that they're a domestic import of Al Qaeda, and I believe that they are CIA assets, and they just activate them when they need them to do this or do that in order to get their narrative pushed or to control public opinion and sway mass decisions. American Warhorse, good to see you, brother. Um, anyway, so you can add to that or you can tell me I'm an idiot, whichever.
I don't know what to think about that. I haven't thought of it that way at all. I just think that it's people are so angry and they come over here like that little sailor on Pearl Harbor, about to go to Captain's Mast and all upset about it. It's not the end of the world. And
Yeah.
took people out because he was angry. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
looked
believe it
up,
or not, I couldn't find anything on that one. So you're telling me something that I haven't heard yet. So please continue.
I just put it in the thing. Um, but yeah, he was facing uh, Captain's Mast. He was upset about it. I don't know yet if he worked with the civilian contractors because you know how you work in tandem a lot of times. I don't know if he worked
Right.
with them or why he was there in that particular spot, but he was upset about going to Captain's Mast. And that's no reason your bad acts or no reason to go kill somebody. If you do bad
Yeah.
acts, you hold yourself up and say, "Yeah, I did it. Let's move forward now." And
Right.
the U.S. Code 18, Section 930, talks about military and weapons on base, and this all started uh, with a 1800s bill from the 1800s called uh, I can't remember, but they stopped the military from having guns because they were afraid during the elections after the Confederacy that the military would come in and try to enforce rules instead of the sheriff. And they didn't want martial law during those times to just come about because the military was there. And and I can understand that. The sheriffs and the local police need to be in charge of their local elections. Uh,
Right.
but we've taken it way too
Not the
far.
Democrats.
No, but then, I'm talking back then. I'm talking talking back then.
Right.
But
Right.
they've taken it so far. And then I read a article that some general wrote about how servicemen and women don't need to be armed because there'll be accidental shootings. They'll accidentally discharge their weapon. How often do you hear about accidental weapon discharges? And not
Yeah. It's
everybody, not everybody is trained as a sharpshooter. Everybody goes to, you know, the basic, here's your weapon, take it apart, clean it out, shoot at some targets, go home. Uh, I think the military is way behind. They should be teaching Air Force, Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, that aren't taught these things. Have a class, have a week
yeah.
long, this is what you got to do, and go learn
Right.
how to safely, because 90% of these men and women have weapons anyway. They just got to check
Right.
them at the door. And and if we could save lives just by, the gun is not the problem, it's the person with the gun. And I don't think
Right.
99% of the people in the military have a problem bringing their weapon on base and only using it, God forbid, in in a crisis.
Right. Well, I don't know what the statute of limitations is for misbehaving in the military, but there wasn't a day that I was active duty that I wasn't unarmed, that I wasn't armed. Um, they say that, oh, if you make the weapons illegal, then nobody will get them. Well, I bought this thing out of the trunk of a car with no serial numbers or anything on it, and I actually had it mounted to my chest. It was in a chest holster because a lot of the places that I would go and a lot of things that I would do, I always had an armed Marine that was sitting next to me with a sole purpose in life to shoot me if I, potentially went back and wanted to tamper with my cargo or whatever. So I always had these jittery Marines around me that were holding their M16s and kind of half-heartedly pointing at me while I'm driving highly sensitive equipment across the country. So I just feel like I figured that if they were going to pop me, I was going to pop them, and then we'd both be out of there. But so I never did anything without mine. But yeah, this idea of the military bases being a gun-free zone is truly pathetic. In the army, when I was in, if you couldn't learn the M16 A1 and you couldn't fire it proficiently and you couldn't be safe with that weapon, you also could not stay in the army. So if you've been in the army, you've been well trained on the use of a deadly weapon. And this idea that soldiers are only capable of being safe with their weapons when they're at war is pathetic.
Well, and they're not taught. Some members are. Some members are perfectly capable, but there are the ones
Yeah,
that, they're going to be an AZ and work out of maintenance control and sit on their butts all day, and that's it.
yeah.
That's it. But I
Well,
think,
I agree with
just
the
like
gun class.
teachers, I think teachers that want to be trained, not force them to be trained at all, but any teacher that wants to carry a weapon into the classroom needs to be trained to do it.
Right.
And I think it should be allowed. If I had kids right now, young kids, I don't know what I'd do. It's so different.
Well, I know that they wouldn't be going to school. Um, I just it wouldn't happen. My kids would be sitting around a table and we'd be doing the work
Homeschool.
of real education.
Yeah,
Yeah,
homeschooling.
there's no way. My avatar identifies as an M16. Well, it's misidentified, but that's okay. You can get away with calling it whatever you want, but AR, armor light, or whatever you
Armalite.
want to
Oh
call
God,
it.
that's another thing that drives me insane. Yeah.
Yep.
Assault rifle. No.
Yes, assault rifle. Right. Anyway, so yeah, it's ridiculous, but this has been happening for a while. We keep having what they are referring to as friendly fire accidents. This is not an accident. We're taking Afghan people off the streets and in Afghanistan training them up, teaching them how to fight, giving them some combat skills, and then they shoot their instructors and their classmates.
Right?
Um, Friendly fire accident. So it's pathetic. But I don't know what to do about it because elected officials, for some reason, they have decided to shut their ears off to their constituents, and we don't matter anymore. Shut up and let us do what we want. You guys just stay down there in the village and stay to yourself and stay out of our way. Um, I
Well,
don't know what to do.
didn't they take the stickers off of cars for base
Yes, they did do that.
because they were a target? Is what I
Right.
remember hearing. It reduced your chance of being a target. Okay,
Yep.
there's a
And
problem.
now it's yeah. There's an ID check at the gate now. They do the all the members of the vehicle have to have an ID. Uh, I know right now in some military bases, you if you want to be going back and forth onto that base, you not only have to do the ID check at the gate, but you have to. They have a scanner now. They just scan the ID card. You have to pull into the visitor center and you have to get yourself registered as a member on that base in order to go back and forth. So if you don't scan in, if they scan your ID and it doesn't work, you're not getting on that base. That might help a little bit, but the they don't check the cars, they don't open trunks, they don't do a
See,
walk
they do at
around.
the commercial gate. You know, when you try to go through the commercial gate, they all but take that damn vehicle apart. And they should have dogs standing right there with the, well, at Jack's, it's just little kids at the time, but they should have a
Right?
dog once around the car. But you know what? That takes time. People will be late for
Yeah.
work, it'll back up traffic. Well, there has to
Well,
be
I know
some
what would.
type of solution.
Yeah, put a sidearm on the hip of every active duty personnel. The problem is that Obama got rid of all of the people that would stand up, and he caught all of his yes men. So these senior brass flag officers that are running around are still the yes men. How may I lick your boots today, sir? Um, there's no backbone because if I was a general right now, I would say arm up the military. Quit doing this bullshit. You know, when you put on your uniform, part of your uniform should be a sidearm on a leg holster, on a thigh holster, because they're easier to draw. But I just think the military bases in a gun-free zone, it's ridiculous. I'm not even supposed to carry mine on the base, but
Mm-mm.
they don't ever check the car. So
Bet you they will now.
what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean they're gonna do something. I don't think
Knee,
they're gonna do
knee-jerk
that much.
reaction to start with.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what to do about it other than exposure and bitch about it.
Well, uh, the more this goes on, because when I was thinking about a lot of these shootings, and I think three of them have been done by Muslims, you know, 9/11 was done by Muslims, and the more you talk about it with people, they start thinking you're a xenophobe, and hate all Muslims. I can't help it they're Muslim. I didn't say, "Hey, Muslims, go be bad guys." You know,
Right,
I don't say, "Hey, crackhead, go stealing from your family." I don't say any of those things. It's what they've decided to do,
right.
and it, we're just so greedy. That it can only
Yeah.
be about money. It can only be about the
Well,
coin.
we are nothing but chess pieces to the bankers and the elitists that create the wars. So of course they're going to try to do things to make their chess pieces equal to the other chess pieces so that their game is more fun to watch, because the reality is it's a game for them. Our
Yeah.
wars are created by the bankers, they are promoted by false flags, and uh, they're funded by the same group of people that set us up to go to these wars. Yeah, Mr. Mikey, you're right. Um, it was an inside job, and we need to disband the CIA. They need to be scattered to all the corners of the earth and be done with them. I'm waiting for that to happen.
If if
Um,
it's a CIA op, and a CIA op can be very disjointed to track that whole thing around. Are they just playing to the weak-minded, angry young person? That the only way you can get back at evil capitalist America is to shoot your instructor, oh, pardon me, and the people around it while your friends film it?
well, it does create it creates a deep seated anger in the general population, and then it makes it easier for them to say, well, look what they did to these people, and these are your fellow Americans. You should really want to go over there and destroy their whole country. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, let's go get them. But if you look back, the CIA was the I think the SSC originally or something like that. Uh, select service something. I can't think of it right now. I'd have to look it up. But all the way back in the 50s, they were created for basically performing capital crimes under the under the guise of U.S. intelligence. And I've said this in other videos that in 1961, they started running drugs with the CIA. They still do that today. They're still catching people coming from across the border, mule packs that are CIA assets. They started running drugs in 1961. In 1969, they realized that they had reached a plateau with their ability to make money in drugs. So they needed to branch out so their black budget would continue to grow. Well, they decided at that point, 1969, to start running children. And
To what?
I'm not just blowing smoke. This is actual freedom of information crap you can look up from 1961 and 1969. They're not hiding it. The only thing is that if you want to get into the really deep stuff the CIA is into, you can go into their freedom of information in 1958 to 1964 when they were really working hard on the MK Ultra, MK Delta, and MK Zeta programs. The Zeta programs are so off the wall that even if you look at them, still too stunned to realize what you're looking at. But now, if you try to look at the Freedom of Information Act information on MK Zeta, the files are contaminated. They will put a virus on your computer, so they protect themselves from some of their deepest, darkest secrets by doing a virus on their Freedom of Information documents. So I'm sure you could still go to the Library of Congress and look this stuff up and get it in its paper form, but looking at it on computer, it's difficult to get to some of it now. But the CIA is nothing but a massive criminal conglomerate. That's all. I'm done about the CIA.
Well, I just think there needs to be better vetting. I don't think that we should be hosting all these allied, countries that we, are our
Yeah,
buddies. They are not. How many
they are
times
not
do
our
you have to
friends.
be, huh?
They are not our friends.
Yeah. How many times do you have to be beat up? How many of your citizens have to be murdered before you say, gosh, I know the Democrats and socialists would have a field day with that, because then you would be a xenophobe, if you cut
Yeah,
out a bunch of these sand countries. But they're not our friends. We train them to protect themselves, and then the people we train turn around and shoot us. Get out.
right.
Let them kill
Yeah.
each other.
Well, the Afghan soldiers apparently, when they one of these incidents that they had not too long ago, put an immediate stop to the program, and President Trump had the classes that were in the process of training. I guess the one class was allowed to finish, but he sent the rest of them back to train in Afghanistan and ended the program at that moment. And it may have been that he got the information about how many of them have been going AWOL, so he just put a stop to it. But the fact that there are potentially 150 or more enemy combatants running around that we have no idea who they are, that's a little shocking.
Why are they
They could
not
be anywhere.
on the FBI's most wanted list? Why is it when I go into the post office, I'm not seeing 150 escaped, Afghani soldiers loose in my country?
Have Have you been paying attention to the FBI lately?
No.
Okay.
But I know
Yeah.
they're not on the poster when I go in the post office.
Yeah. Well, the FBI is just. I mean, that's another clown show. So until until these things get fixed, until they are more concentrating on protecting us against crime instead of creating cover for the crimes that are created by their cronies, the rest of the stuff is just going to continue. So there has to be a massive restructuring. And the first step was taken by President Trump sending the Afghan trainees back to Afghanistan to train on their own soil, which is fine because why do we have to give them a 5-star reception into our country, into our best training programs in the world, and what have they done to earn that position?
Right, right,
I mean,
right.
they're
Why do we
not in
have
our
to bring them
military.
here to train them to fly these different aircraft? Send somebody over there. Here you go. Snappy. Or
Yeah,
train
well,
one
also
person here to continue training over there
exactly. But why do we have to train them on some of our most elite equipment?
because they
Why don't
bought
we
them,
give
because we
them?
sell them.
Yeah, but that's got to stop too. I mean,
It's not. Yeah,
why give them equipment that puts them on an equal playing field? That's the point I was saying about the chess pieces.
hmm
They don't need to be on an equal playing field. We need to maintain a superior force. That
Yeah,
way, they won't get the nerve to take us on in the future.
yeah. Well,
Do you know that
I
Iran
perfectly
and us
agree.
used to be allies?
Huh?
Iran and us used to be allies.
And
Well, we supplied them with a whole slew of weapons, and then they turned on us. Now they get their weapons from Russia, but that's irrelevant. I mean, the point is that we were supplying them everything because they were our besties, and we
yeah,
wanted to keep them happy.
and nobody can read the writing on the wall. As soon as see, and this is where I love Trump so much and why he's so hated, I think, because he sees, you know, country behaving badly, and what does he want to do? Done with you people. But then
Right,
he's
and
not
then the
supplying
Democrats,
aid and he's withholding things and starving
right?
people out. Well,
Yeah, you notice
jets
the
fly over my
Democrats have
house
to
100 times a day.
they have to trim up their grocery bills every time President Trump stops foreign aid because that
Yeah,
takes money out of the DNC's pockets and out of the Democrats. So, yeah, they pitch a fit because he's actually taking money directly from them when he stops foreign aid to some of these criminal cabal countries.
I just, as far as these military aged, and they are, young men coming into our country to train on different platforms, I
Yeah,
just
well,
don't
we
agree.
could
I don't
we could get
agree.
into the military aged men being trucked across our borders too. So, I mean,
Oh,
we're
well,
being
you know
accosted
that.
from
Yeah.
every direction. But anyway, so that is we are basically done with our hour. We've kind of flown through that last 30 minutes, but anyway, you got anything you want to finish up with on the way
Well,
out?
my friend that's border patrol that flies the helicopters, she
Hmm.
finds Korans all the time, all the
Yeah,
time in the desert.
yeah, we are being invaded quietly.
Mhm.
So people just need to stay vigilant, stay armed, see something, say something. Um, you know, don't know what else to say, but we got to take care of ourselves because our government's not doing it for us. We are our own first responders, and that's the way it
Absolutely.
just needs to stay. So,
I think that's
with
an
that
excellent way of
being
putting
said,
it. We are our own first responders. I like that.
yeah, I got a patent on that.
Okay, I'm going to steal it.
Well, just now, copyright, quick. Okay, all right. with that being said, I want to thank my mods for handling the chat while I've been here. Thank you to everybody that's come to hang out with us for an hour. Miss Belinda always rocks. I enjoy you immensely, and it's always great fun. And
I enjoy it.
with
Thank you
that
for having
being
me
said,
on Sunday.
yeah, shucks, there aren't nothing. Uh, just a programming note. I will be leaving out of town and probably showing up somewhere fairly familiar to you folks next week. My shows will be done remotely, but they will still be done, and we're going to go have some fun and hang out for a little bit. But anyway, so with that being said, I say good night to all and stay in the fight.
Good night.